I am Louis Parker, Class 129, retired July 31st, 2006. Happy 96th birthday, United States Border Patrol, on the 1st.
Hello everyone, J.R. Villarreal. I'm a member of the Mean Green 198 session. I retired in December of 2016, came to work for the Texas Rangers so I could still continue working alongside Border Patrol and still wearing Mean Green. Happy 96th birthday to all my brothers in the United States Border Patrol.
Hi, Mike Diaz, Class 237, duty stations, Brownfield, Imperial Beach, Chula Vista, retirement date 12/31/2014. Happy 96th birthday, Border Patrol. Honor first.
Hi, this is Victor Griffin, Class of 236. On the border every day, 236 will lead the way. Retired July 31st, 2018. On this 96th birthday of the U.S. Border Patrol, I'd like to give a shout out to the men and women of the Border Patrol, past, present, and future. I'd like to say thank you for your service, God bless you, and above all, remember, honor first.
Craig McCaslin, 151st Border Patrol Session. Retired January 3rd, 2007. Happy birthday to the U.S. Border Patrol, honor first. Best job I ever had.
I'm Vinny Polanco. I EOD'd on April 10th, 1978. I retired on May 31st, 2007. And it was one heck of a good ride. So, happy birthday, Border Patrol, 96th birthday. Congrats.
Mark Hall, Class 167, retired February 28th, 2018. Happy 96th birthday, U.S. Border Patrol. Honor first.
John Garcon out of Session 210, wishing a happy 96th birthday to the U.S. Border Patrol.
My name is Greg Polendo from the 159th Session, EOD 1984 and retired in 2006. I want to wish the whole Border Patrol family a happy birthday.
Randy Herberholtz, Border Patrol Session 202, McAllen, Yuma, Tucson. Retired in April of 2012. Happy birthday, U.S. Border Patrol.
Happy birthday, Mean Green. John Paisley, retired patrol agent in charge of the Great Campbell Station, wishing you a happy 96th birthday. Honor first.
My name is Harry Ruffle. I'm from the 151st Session. I retired in January of 2013. I'm the youngest of three brothers who all served in the United States Border Patrol. Happy 96th birthday, U.S. Border Patrol, honor first.
Hello, my name is Willie Barber, Class of 234, United States Border Patrol. Protecting our borders is probably more important than it's ever been. Stay strong, Border Patrol. Happy 96th birthday.
Hi, this is Tina Paisley. I EOD'd Class 164 out of Brownfield Station, San Diego Sector. I retired out of Headquarters Assistant Chief in 2012. And I want to wish a happy 96th birthday, U.S. Border Patrol. Honor first.
Efrain Sella Perez, Class 282, retired December 31st, 2019. Happy 96th birthday, United States Border Patrol. Honor first.
Happy 96th birthday, U.S. Border Patrol. Honor first.
headquarters to U.S. Customs and Border Protection and where the United States Border Patrol calls home. My name is Salvador Zamora. I'm the Director of Communications for the United States Border Patrol and your Master of Ceremonies for today's event. On behalf of Customs and Border Protection, Acting Commissioner Mark Morgan, United States Border Patrol Chief Rodney Scott, and the more than 21,000 Border Patrol agents and mission support personnel stationed across the country who endeavor every day to protect America, I'd like to welcome you to the 96th anniversary celebration of the United States Border Patrol. This highly anticipated yearly event is normally celebrated at all 20 Border Patrol sectors across the country, to include our Special Operations Group in El Paso, Texas, and the United States Border Patrol Academy in Artesia, New Mexico. However, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, we have modified the ceremony and turned to social media to celebrate this virtually, but still united in cause and purpose as a Border Patrol family. Additionally, for the first time ever, we are excited to stream this event live, and as a double benefit, we have invited the general public, those who we protect and serve, to celebrate along with us. We thank you for choosing to be with us today, and we genuinely appreciate your support of the United States Border Patrol. We also want to thank our leadership that joins us today, Commissioner Mark Morgan, Chief Ronnie Scott, and a very special warm welcome to our guest of honor, retired Chief of the Border Patrol, David V. Aguilar. Thank you for joining us on this very special occasion. And lastly, a warm and fraternal virtual embrace to all the men and women of the Border Patrol, agents and mission support personnel, on duty, off duty, and retired. You make this celebration special because you are what makes the United States Border Patrol one of the finest law enforcement agencies in the world. Thank you for all that you have done and continue to do for our patrol and our great nation. Today's abbreviated ceremony will consist of the Pledge of Allegiance, invocation, remarks from our guests of honors, table of honor reflection, cake cutting ceremony, and recognition of the most junior and most senior Border Patrol agent and most junior and senior mission support employees assigned to U.S. Border Patrol headquarters. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in the recitation of the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please welcome Assistant Chief Chaplain Spencer Hatch to lead us in the invocation.
Please join us in a word of prayer. Almighty Father, we gather today to give thanks for your many blessings, to ask for your guidance and protection, and to celebrate the 96th anniversary of the United States Border Patrol. We are grateful for the thousands of skilled and dedicated patriots who serve the United States of America's Border Patrol agents and our professional staff. These men and women and their families serve steadfastly and sacrifice often and find too little appreciation for all they do. Help our leaders to be relentless advocates for them, and help each of us to be honorable stewards of all our Border Patrol families. We express our gratitude for the blessings of health, family, and purpose that many of us feel fortunate to experience. We are thankful to be in the service of this great country, and that we are so often able to do so safely. Our hearts and thoughts goes to those among us who suffer through sickness or trial, for those who need continued blessings during their recoveries, and especially the fallen, who will only serve alongside us in our memories. Please bless and protect them, and help us all to have each other's backs through actions and service, and not just words and promises. The Border Patrol has a proud and distinguished history. We have played a critical role in the security and service of the United States during wars, terrorist attacks, national events, riots, and natural disasters. Every day, our agents valiantly defend their communities and our borders from an untold number of dangers. In these unprecedented times of global pandemic, we understand that we must have an eye on the horizon for the next challenge. The U.S. Border Patrol has evolved and adapted time and time again to meet new trials, defeat new threats, and counter ever-changing adversaries. That is our legacy, and we are honored to rise to the challenge. We pray for the strength and courage to continue the mission. Bless us with the fortitude, wisdom, and integrity to be able to do so with honor. In thy name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Chaplain Hatch, for those beautiful words. It gives me great pleasure to welcome U.S. Customs and Border Protection Acting Commissioner and former Chief of the Border Patrol, Mark Morgan. Chief.
So it was almost 10 years ago that I first became affiliated with the United States Border Patrol, where I first learned for the first time in over 30 years of governmental service just what the Border Patrol did, what they stood for, what the Border Patrol's mission was. Before then, I really didn't have any idea. But quickly, it didn't take long when I began to learn about the Border Patrol, just what they stood for. As I watched the big green machine, I watched how the Border Patrol agents, you walked a little bit different than other law enforcement entities. You carried yourself a little bit different. I saw a level of dedication, of commitment, a willingness to do anything that it took to do your job to protect the American people. I saw something 10 years ago in the Border Patrol that I hadn't seen in a very long time. And when I hearken back to when the last time I saw that, it's when I first enlisted in the United States Marine Corps. And I can say this, I can't think of a better compliment that I can give any organization than compare it to the United States Marine Corps. I am a Marine, I'm always going to be a Marine, and I'm proud of that. And what I saw in the Border Patrol 10 years ago, that's what I saw. The same commitment, the dedication to being something greater than yourself. I saw the same thing in the United States Border Patrol. And quickly, 10 years ago, you gained my admiration, my respect, and my gratitude for everything that you did. And since then, every day, every week, every month, every year, that gratitude, that respect, that admiration has simply grown, and it continues to grow. So happy 96th birthday, and I hope we see many more years to come. Thank you. Honor first.
Outstanding, Chief Morgan. Thank you. It is my distinct honor to welcome the 24th Chief of the United States Border Patrol, Rodney Scott.
So good afternoon and welcome. Thank you for joining us at our first ever, at least to my knowledge, virtual celebration of the Border Patrol's 96th birthday in general. Thank you very much for joining us, acting commissioners and former chiefs. Very proud to have you with us here today. The U.S. Border Patrol has served with honor and integrity in protecting this country for 96 years. 1924, this organization was formally established. Normally, this room would be full or partially full of Border Patrol personnel, family, friends, and we'd be telling stories and, of course, devouring that awesome cake over there that Tasha made for us. And thank you, Tasha, for that. But due to COVID-19, we've had to make some creative adjustments. Luckily, though, in that 96 years history of the Border Patrol, we've learned to excel at adapting on the fly and making changes the last minute. And beyond that, every challenge that we've met and then passed, we've learned to be a more efficient and more effective organization. And that's what you guys do each and every day. So celebrating the Border Patrol's 96th birthday virtually with all of you may seem like a small thing, but I challenge you that a lot of times it's the small things that turn into enormous things. For example, just this birthday party here today, as I mentioned a minute ago, would be an internal event. But because of social media, because of our adjustments, we have well over a couple hundred people participating, and virtually we could have up to thousands by the time this is over. U.S. Border Patrol always keeps an eye on the future, though. These celebrations help us, though, to reflect on our past and to give honor to those that came before us, and to honor the monument that the Border Patrol is, that vigilance, integrity, and service that was demonstrated by so many before. But it's our job to preserve that and to carry it on for future generations. When you consider the vast, complex missions that the United States Border Patrol carries out every day, both past and present, this birthday celebration really does seem like a small thing. But again, I remind you that sometimes the small things matter most. For a U.S. Border Patrol agent, a light footprint in the sand, a slightly moved rock, a bent blade of grass, or a twig pushed aside can be an indicator to cross-border threat coming into this country. Each arrest that we make, each seizure, and each interview that you conduct, that can give us data points that leads to information that helps us dismantle transnational criminal threats or even terrorist plots to this nation that threaten this nation. It's primarily the countless small actions that you carry out every single day that do the most to make our mission a success and to keep this country safe. Every day, when you show up to work, regardless of your position or title, we write a new page in the history of the United States Border Patrol, and we create a legacy for others to follow. It's a story that we're all privileged to be a part of, and you should be very, very proud to be part of. So with that, happy birthday, 96 years, and it's up to all of you to make the next years even better. Honor first.
Thank you, Chief Saad. A little recap of why we're here, this tradition. On May 28, 2009, then National Border Patrol Chief David V. Aguilar issued a proclamation that a reminder of the honorable service of the United States Border Patrol be implemented. Border Patrol agents and personnel across the globe, both prior and present, will gather in camaraderie and Border Patrol fellowship. It is fitting that for this 96th anniversary celebration, we gather and commemorate our history. That proclamation reads, on this day, May 24, 2009, and in every year that follows, in every place where Border Patrol employees serve, we will take time for fellowship and camaraderie, remembering our fallen, celebrating their lives lived well, and our life as a service. We are growing, changing, adapting, and overcoming, and the free world and all wrongdoers shall know this. Do not stop here, for this place is protected by you and I, the United States Border Patrol. Happy anniversary and honor first is what that proclamation read in 2009. As the proclamation states, we will gather in fellowship and remember the fallen. Honoring those who laid down their lives for our country is our obligation and our solemn duty, for we owe them a tremendous debt of gratitude. Recently, we paid those heroes tribute at the Customs and Border Protection Valor Memorial Ceremony in Washington, D.C., where we honored Border Patrol agents Donna Das, Robert Houghton, and Luis Peña Jr., who died in the line of duty in 2019. Additionally, we also saluted the 130 Border Patrol agents who have died in the line of duty since the inception of the U.S. Border Patrol in 1925. Today, we include them in our ceremony by setting a table for them to remind us of they are always present in our lives. Every item on that table of honor has a special meaning. From the single red rose, which reminds us of the families and loved ones of our fallen, to the icon, as we call it in the Border Patrol, which includes the boots, belt, and cover representing the core uniform components of a Border Patrol agent, to the wine glass turned upside down, serving as a reminder that our distinguished comrades cannot be with us to drink, a toast, or join in the festivities in this afternoon. With that, please join us in a moment of silence to honor their memory. Thank you. And now it is my pleasure to introduce to you our guest of honor. He is no stranger to CBP or the Border Patrol. As a matter of fact, he is one of the best friends of the Patrol who has led, coached, and mentored many agents and courage chiefs as well. He served as Chief Patrol Agent, Chief of the Border Patrol, Deputy Commissioner, and Acting Commissioner before he retired. But from the many stories I've heard him tell, no disrespect to current company, the most fulfilling and critical job he's held in the Patrol was a Patrol Agent, serving on the front lines. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome retired Chief of the Border Patrol, David V. Aguilar.
Thank you, Sal. Commissioner, Chief, appreciate the invite. Truly an honor to be here today. Commissioner, what you talked about earlier about what you saw 10 years ago for the first time, is what I was very fortunate to live. The desire, the will, the wherewithal to find a way to overcome. And that is reflected here today. Overcoming COVID-19. This is too important an event for us to pass up. This was too important an event for us not to find a way. And for that, I thank the Chief, I thank Sal, and the rest of the Border Patrol team for making this happen. Border Patrol family, it's always good to be back with you. For members of the public that are here with us today, welcome to this celebration. It's good to have you with us. To all the agents, and especially our mission support critical team members, it is great to be here with you today. Thank you for attending and participating in this event that is nothing less than momentous. I am extremely proud to have served with you. I am extremely proud to be here today with you and join in celebrating this event. You, the men and women of Border Patrol, the mission support personnel, you are the most valued asset and the most valuable asset in this organization, in our Border Patrol. Upon the creation of the United States Border Patrol, the need and the mission was clear. As simple as it was clear. Patrol the borders of these United States. Protect our people against all threats. Promote the rule of law, thereby preserving our American way of life. That is our charge. That is our duty. Now, the world has changed dramatically, and it has evolved since those first days when those mounted riders got on their horse and patrolled those borders. It has changed dramatically. But they took on those responsibilities. They took on those charges with diligence, with that desire to overcome. That is who the Border Patrol is as an organization. Today, our mission continues. Important as it was then, and in some fashions, it is even more critically important today. The uniform may be a little different. Our dress uniform has not changed much, and I thank God for that. Our equipment is amongst the best and the most modern in the world. Our training has evolved. We pridefully put forth our officers, our agents, our personnel as some of the best trained in the world. And very importantly, we guard and protect against threats and vulnerabilities that those first riders couldn't even imagine. Unimaginable threats and vulnerabilities that we face today as a nation. But we are the sentinels. The baton has been passed on to you, to us, and it is important that we not lose sight of that. The one constant that has not changed is you, the men and women of the Border Patrol and the team of the Border Patrol. Through you, the very same fiber, the very same metal, and the very same bloodline of our predecessors rides the deserts, climbs the mountains, patrols the rivers and the borders today. We exist for one reason, nothing less than to protect America's borders. And we do it with pride. You do it with pride. Borders. Borders that delineate something very important to this world. They delineate America's way of life. They delineate America's way of life. That is a responsibility that I know none of you take lightly. This responsibility, as has already been mentioned, comes with a heavy toll. Too many of our brothers and sisters have not returned to their families at the end of their watch. For them and their families, we pray. For them and their families, we will always remember. And for them, I know that you carry on. You carry on with their memories also. Border Patrol family here today, those of you out in the field, and those of you serving throughout the globe, thank you for protecting our people. We are proud of you, and we are confident in depending on you to do just that. And now, to all the family members out there that support our men and women, you are as much a part of this proud organization as your loved ones that go to work every day. You are as much a part of that organization. I know I speak on behalf of those that have served in the past, those that serve today, and those that will serve in the future. To you, the family members that we come home to at the end of the shift, thank you for your support. Thank you for what you do in putting up with us, frankly, in putting up with what we do. And thank you for recognizing the importance of what our people do. Without you, we could not do what we do. Now, I will take my leave, but I will do so by thanking the United States Border Patrol team from what I believe are the most important titles and ranks that I will ever hold. That I will ever hold. First, proud citizen of this country. Father, grandfather, U.S. Border Patrol agent. Border Patrol, congratulations and happy birthday to you. Happy 96th.
Thank you, Chief Aguilar, for those motivating and inspiring words. Outstanding. But another reason why we're here is those that came before us and patrolled the borders, as Chief Aguilar said. With that, please allow me to briefly share the timeline of the Border Patrol history. On May 28, 1924, Congress passed an appropriations bill providing funding to increase the land Border Patrol functions of the Bureau of Immigration. Had been conducted in a manner one way or another for quite some time. The Bureau's Commissioner General then ordered the nationwide hiring of patrol inspectors, and the Immigration Border Patrol was born. Our President Franklin D. Roosevelt combined the Bureau of Immigration and the Bureau of Naturalization into the Immigration and Naturalization Service in 1933. In 1936, the National Border Patrol Academy opened up a training academy at Camp Chigos, located in El Paso, Texas. In the first years, the patrol was conducted on foot, horseback, and automobiles. By 1927, aircraft and boats were added methods used to patrol the border. Throughout its history, the Border Patrol has been utilized in a wide range of roles. During World War II, the patrol was used to man alien detention camps, guard diplomats, and patrol the seacoast to prevent the landing of Axis saboteurs. During the 1960s, the patrol functioned as the first air marshals and were called upon to assist the U.S. Marshals in enforcing court orders related to civil rights in Oxford, Mississippi. The Border Patrol was instrumental in ending what's referred to as the long night of segregation in the American South. This pattern of Border Patrol being called for assistance has continued year after year after year. In the 1980s and 1990s, the Border Patrol saw a tremendous increase of illegal immigration. The Border Patrol responded with increases in manpower and the implementation of modern technology. Infrared night vision scopes, seismic sensors, and modern computer processing systems helped the Border Patrol locate, apprehend, and process those crossing into the country illegally. Homeland security became the primary concern of the nation after the terrorist attacks of September 11, 2001. On March 1, 2003, the Border Patrol, along with 4 other federal entities, merged into Customs and Border Protection under the Department of Homeland Security. There are now more than 21,000 Border Patrol agents and mission support personnel serving America, both home and abroad. The 21st century promises to provide enormous leaps in technology that can be applied to border enforcement. The modernization of the Border Patrol advances at a dizzying rate as new generations of agents develop innovative ways to integrate the contemporary technology into traditional field operations. Additionally, cooperation with neighboring countries increases border safety and law enforcement efforts. In the future of the U.S. Border Patrol promise to be as exciting and interesting as its past, and will continue to echo the model that agents have lived by since its earliest years. Honor first. Before we proceed to the cake cutting ceremony, we are honored to have several retired national chiefs and tenured Border Patrol agents wish the U.S. Border Patrol a happy 96th birthday. And with that, please roll the video.
My name is Buck Vandermeal. I was in class 66, and I want to wish the Border Patrol happy 96th birthday. Also, I wish all Americans would understand the dedication, the sacrifice, and the pride that the Border Patrol has exhibited down through the years while patrolling our borders and protecting the sovereignty of this great nation. Honor first.
Hi, my name is Hugh Bryan, class of 73. In 1959, I graduated in El Paso. I was chief from 1986 to 1989. When I retired, I wish a happy 96th birthday.
Hello, my name is Mike Williams. I had the privilege of joining the U.S. Border Patrol in May of 1967, and I was a member of the 89th session. I retired in 1996, and my wife and I, Patricia and I, would like to join my fellow officers in wishing the Border Patrol a very happy 96th birthday. Remember, honor first.
Hi, I'm Doug Crum, retired chief of the Border Patrol. I entered on duty 10/3/67, attended the 90th session of the Border Patrol Academy, and I retired in 1998. I'm here today to wish the Border Patrol family a happy 96th birthday. 96 years documented and on display at the Border Patrol Museum. We wish you each and every one happy birthday. We want you to stay strong and be safe, and just know how very proud we are of you.
Happy 96th birthday, U.S. Border Patrol. David Aguilar here, 122nd session of the U.S. Border Patrol Academy. June 8, 1978, service to March 30th, 2013. Extremely proud of having served with you, and extremely proud of the service that you are giving country as we speak. Today, it is COVID-19. In the past, it was 9/11, it was Sandy, it was Katrina, it was all the other times of adversity. You always succeeded. You always made us proud. Proud to have served with you. Proud to be your partner. David Aguilar signing off. Happy birthday.
Hi, my name is Michael Fisher, Border Patrol Academy Class 208, and BORTAC Class number 5. I want to thank each of you for what you do to protect this country. And happy birthday to the finest law enforcement organization in the world. Be safe, God bless, and always honor first.
Hello, Ron Vitello here to help celebrate the 96th birthday of the United States Border Patrol. I am grateful to all the agents and their families for having served and sacrificed for this esteemed institution. It is an incredible organization that protects and serves the American public with great capacity and integrity. I took my first oath of office in 1985 as a member of the Class 174 at Laredo, Texas. I had a wonderful career and a supportive family, and I was privileged to serve the nation for 34 years. So to my Green family, happy birthday.
Hey everyone, Carla Provost here, Class 277. As many of you know, I recently retired, but that doesn't mean I haven't been thinking about you. I wanted to be sure and wish the U.S. Border Patrol a happy 96th birthday. You all stay safe out there. Honor first.
Hi, Tom Gaines, Class 76 session. Duty station is El Centro, California. And I retired in 2000. Honor first. Happy birthday.
Hello, I'm William Hunter, and I'm a graduate of the Border Patrol class of 53 from Camp Chicas in El Paso, Texas in May of 1954. I retired in October of 1977 as the Assistant Patrol Agent in charge in Catula. I'd like to wish the U.S. Border Patrol a happy anniversary.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Notably, the U.S. Border Patrol has a long and rich history and models many of its customs after the armed forces, the cake-cutting ceremony being one of them. This annual event, which is now a tradition, serves as a renewal of commitment by U.S. Border Patrol agents and mission support personnel to the Border Patrol. It is also a time to celebrate the many achievements and successes we have collectively enjoyed in support of the border security mission, which is nothing less than keeping America safe. This Border Patrol birthday cake, commemorating 96 years of service to the nation, was prepared by an Assistant Chief, Tasha Wilcox. Outstanding job, Ms. Wilcox. Thank you very much. It's a beautiful cake. And now to the cake cutting. Chief Scott, will you do us the honors, please? This cake cutting ceremony has been modified from its original version out of respect for each other and the prescribed social distancing guidelines. Chief Aguilar, as a guest of honor, would you please step forward and accept the piece of cake in appreciation for all that you have done and continue to do for the men and women of the Border Patrol. Chief Scott cutting and serving the first piece of cake for the guest of honor symbolizes the servant leadership philosophy that all Border Patrol leaders are encouraged to embrace to be successful in their careers. Thank you, Chief Aguilar. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you. It's an honor.
The second piece of cake will go to the most senior Border Patrol agent assigned to Border Patrol headquarters. This honor goes to Assistant Chief Matthew Laurence with 31 years of service. He entered on duty with the Border Patrol on November 6, 1988, Class 238. Assistant Chief Laurence is currently serving in the Law Enforcement Operations Directorate at headquarters. Thank you for your service and congratulations.
Thank you, Chief. It's been an honor and a privilege to serve in the U.S. Border Patrol.
Thank you very much.
The third piece of cake will go to the most junior Border Patrol agent assigned to Border Patrol headquarters. This honor goes to Operations Officer Kevin Shirtliff, Jr., with 8 years of service. Operations Officer Shirtliff entered on duty with the Border Patrol on August 25, 2011, Class 985. Operations Officer Shirtliff is currently serving in the Law Enforcement Operations Directorate at headquarters. Thank you for your service and congratulations. The fourth piece of cake will go to the most tenured mission support employee assigned to Border Patrol headquarters. Joining us virtually, this honor goes to Mission Support Specialist Marcia Dottridge with 38 years of service. 38 years of service. Outstanding. She entered on duty with the federal government on August 17, 1981. Ms. Dottridge is currently serving in the Mission Readiness Operations Directorate at headquarters. Thank you for your service and congratulations. We owe you cake in person when we are able to come together. Can you hear us okay? Yes? Okay. A little technical difficulty maybe. Okay. The fifth piece of cake will go to the least tenured mission support employee assigned to Border Patrol headquarters. Also joining us virtually, this honor goes to telecommunications specialist Arten Kalimuna with 2 years of service. He entered on duty with the federal government on May 27, 2018. Mr. Galimuna is currently serving in the Law Enforcement Operations Directorate at headquarters. Thank you for your service and congratulations. We too owe you a cake and a personal recognition when we're all able to come together.
It's an honor and privilege to serve and be part of the celebration. Happy birthday, Border Patrol. Honor first.
Very well. Thank you for joining us. Traditionally, this ceremony would consist of the most senior employee cutting and passing the cake to the most junior employee. This symbolizes the passing of experience and knowledge from the older to the younger generations of the Border Patrol. It is this passing of information that maintains our culture and perpetuates our organizational integrity. Additionally, the most junior employee would graciously receive the piece of cake from the most junior employee and pledge to carry on the history and traditions of the U.S. Border Patrol and to always live honor first. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes today's celebration. We invite you to continue watching as various U.S. Border Patrol retirees have sent in a small video clip wishing the U.S. Border Patrol a happy 96th birthday, and we thank all of you for doing so. That has made this celebration special. Thank you again for joining us and for taking part in this momentous celebration. Have a great day. Honor first.
Hi, my name is Russ Perry. I graduated from the Border Patrol Academy in February 1971, class of 99. Retired in February 2002. Happy birthday to my beloved Border Patrol. Honor first.
I'm Louis Barker, class 129, retired July 31st, 2006. Happy 96th birthday, United States Border Patrol. Honor first.
My name is David Even, class 215, retired November 2019. Happy 96th birthday, Border Patrol. Honor first.
Supervisory Border Patrol Agent Ben Wetherill, Academy Class 226, Section 7, retired September 2019. Happy 96th birthday, United States Border Patrol. Honor first.
Randy Herberholtz, Border Patrol Session 202, McAllen, Yuma, Tucson. Retired in April of 2012. Happy birthday, U.S. Border Patrol.
Miguel McDowell, class 238, retired February 28, 2015. Happy 96th birthday, Border Patrol.
Hi, this is Victor Griffin, class of 236. On the border every day, 236 will lead the way. Retired July 31st, 2018. On this 96th birthday of the U.S. Border Patrol, I'd like to give a shout out to the men and women of the Border Patrol, past, present, and future. I'd like to say thank you for your service, God bless you, and above all, remember, honor first.
My name's Kyle Kroll, graduated class 298. I retired March 30th, 2019. Happy 96th birthday, United States Border Patrol. Honor first.
Okay. Hi, I'm Janelyn Busick. I entered on duty here in Yuma, Arizona in March 1985 with the 175th session. I retired October 29, 2016. I just want to say thank you for serving and happy birthday, U.S. Border Patrol. Let's keep the tradition alive.
Mark Hall, class 167, retired February 28th, 2018. Happy 96th birthday, U.S. Border Patrol. Honor first.
Matt Torres, class 185, Chula Vista Station, August 28, 2010. Happy birthday, happy 96th birthday, U.S. Border Patrol. Honor first.
Happy birthday, Mean Green. John Paisley, retired patrol agent in charge of the Great Campbell Station, wishing you a happy 96th birthday. Honor first.
Hello everyone, J.R. Villarreal. I'm a member of the Mean Green 198 session. I retired in December of 2016, came to work for the Texas Rangers so I could still continue working alongside Border Patrol and still wearing Mean Green. Happy 96th birthday to all my brothers in the United States Border Patrol.
Morning, Party Champion, 197 session, retired December 2015. Just want to say happy 96th birthday to U.S. Border Patrol. Honor first.
My name is Javier Tarin. Entered on duty, Yuma, Arizona with class 195th on May 19th, 1986. Retired El Paso Sector, May 19th, 2012. Happy birthday, U.S. Border Patrol. honor first.
Good afternoon, my brothers and sisters. This is Kevin Nix. I EOD'd with the U.S. Border Patrol on February 3rd, 1985, and was stationed in Douglas, Arizona, Tucson sector. I retired from the Border Patrol on October 27, 2018, out of the Las Cruces Station, El Paso sector. I want to take this opportunity to wish our beloved patrol a happy 96th birthday.
My name is Alan Zeitvogel. I graduated with class 379. I retired from the Border Patrol on July 31st of 2018. I'd like to wish the Border Patrol, all the agents past and present, a happy birthday. Be safe. Honor first.
My name is Grick Belendo from the 159th session, EOD 1984, and retire in 2006. I want to wish the whole Border Patrol family a happy birthday.
Hi, this is Tina Paisley. I EOD'd Class 164 out of Brownfield Station, San Diego Sector. I retired out of Headquarters Assistant Chief in 2012. And I want to wish a happy 96th birthday, U.S. Border Patrol. Honor first.
Joe Lorenz, 174th session. Happy birthday, U.S. Border Patrol.
Good morning, my name is Hector Martinez, class 263. I retired in October 2018. I just want to wish the whole Border Patrol family a happy 96th birthday. God bless you guys. Honor first.
Hello, my name is Willie Barber, class of 234, United States Border Patrol. Protecting our borders is probably more important than it's ever been. Stay strong, Border Patrol. Happy 96th birthday.
John Garcon out of Session 210, wishing a happy 96th birthday to the U.S. Border Patrol.
Efraín Sella Perez, Class 282, retired December 31st, 2019. Happy 96th birthday, United States Border Patrol. Honor first.
My name is Roy P. Waltney. I joined the Border Patrol in January 7th, 1980, and I was a member of the 132nd Academy class in the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center in Glencoe, Georgia. In my 25-year career with the Border Patrol, I spent it in only one duty station, that being Tucson, Arizona. I retired on January 7th, 2005. When I retired, I was the Assistant Patrol Agent in charge of the Tucson station. I was very proud of my career as a Border Patrol agent. I love the Border Patrol. I still love the patrol to this day. And it's with sincere respect that I wish the Border Patrol a happy birthday.
Happy 96th birthday, U.S. Border Patrol. I'm Ron Colburn, a retired Border Patrol agent, and I'd like to thank this current generation for what you do. You protect us on the front line and furthest reaches of our frontiers. My family represents multiple generations of the patrol, and we thank you for what you do. Remember, watch your six, watch your partner six, wear your ballistic vests, fasten your seatbelts, and come home safely at the end of your watch.
This is Rosario Hinojosa from Class 193, February 1986. Retired as a Chief Patrol Agent for the Rio Grande Valley Sector in January of 2014. I'd like to congratulate all Border Patrol agents and mission support personnel for 96 years of outstanding service to our country. Honor, tradition, and esprit de corps are what make the Border Patrol great. Best of luck for another 96 years, and honor first.
Craig McCaslin, 151st Border Patrol Session. Retired January 3rd, 2007. Happy birthday to the U.S. Border Patrol. Honor first. Best job I ever had.
I'm Bill Mitchell. I graduated from the 185th and
retired on the 4th of April 2005. Happy birthday for the Border Patrol, 96 years. I plan to be around for the 100th. Siempre listo. Honor first.
Happy birthday to the United States Border Patrol, the organization I'm proud and honored to have served in. My name is Benito Lopez, member of the 114th session of the United States Border Patrol Academy, April 1977, first class in Glencoe, Georgia. Retired June 1st, 1999. Happy birthday to all my brothers in green. Honor first.
I'm Vinny Polanco. I EOD'd on April 10th, 1978. I retired on May 31st, 2007. And it was one heck of a good ride. So, happy birthday, Border Patrol, 96th birthday. Congrats.
I'm Ben Robinson, entered on duty U.S. Border Patrol in March of 1976, class 110, retired in 2007. Happy anniversary, Border Patrol.
Hi, my name is Ray Sanchez. I entered on duty into the United States Border Patrol under class 188th session. My first duty station was Alamogordo, New Mexico. I retired July 25th of 2010 out of Artesia, New Mexico. I'd like to wish the United States Border Patrol a happy 96th birthday and honor first.
My name is Harry Ruffle. I'm from the 151st session. I retired in January of 2013. I'm the youngest of three brothers who all served in the United States Border Patrol. Happy 96th birthday, U.S. Border Patrol, honor first.
Hi, Mike Diaz, class 237, duty stations, Brownfield, Imperial Beach, Chula Vista, retirement date 12/31/2014. Happy 96th birthday, Border Patrol, honor first.
Hello, I'm Alan Lindsay of class 223 from Laredo, North Texas to Oswego, New York. Wishing the patrol a happy 96th birthday. Honor first.
Happy 96th birthday, United States Border Patrol, from your brother Zeke Saldivar, class 205. Honor first. E. Elizabeth Yuma.
Hi, this is Kevin Stevens, proud graduate of Border Patrol Class 137, VORTAC Class Number 1. Quick message to the Border Patrol family to say thank you for being out there and doing the job every day, and happy 96th birthday to the Border Patrol. Honor first.
Hey guys, this is Richard Fisher, retired United States Border Patrol agent, class 389. I retired out of Wilcox, Arizona in September of 2018, and I just want to say happy birthday to United States Border Patrol. Happy 96th, bleed green, honor first. Cool.
Juan Zavala, class 173rd, duty station, IMB, retirement date June 2007. Happy birthday, U.S. Border Patrol, honor first.
Mi nombre es Tony Pacheco. I'm from class 131. I was at Brownfield Station. I retired in January 2006. Happy 96th birthday, U.S. Border Patrol, honor first.
My name is Ruben Reyes. I'm part of the class 205. Retired in 2008. Happy birthday, Border Patrol, honor first.
Hi, I'm Romeo Garcia. I graduated with Mighty 281st in Glencoe, Georgia in '95, and I retired in December of 2019. I want to wish the greatest law enforcement agency in the world a happy 96th birthday. Happy birthday, U.S. Border Patrol.
John Krupa, 105th session, Chula Vista Station, retired October 1998. Happy birthday, Border Patrol, honor first.
Happy birthday to the United States Border Patrol from Alicia Peña, class 181, June 1985 through November 2014.
Hello from El Paso, Texas. This is Vic Manjarres,
Class 237, retired May of 2011. Happy birthday to the finest law enforcement agency in the world. And to the men and women of the United States Border Patrol, thank you for what you do, and honor first.
David Stigemeyer, Class 199, EOD Yuma, Arizona, July 28, 1986. Spent time in Tucson Prosecutions, Brian H. Cherry Station, and retired out of Gibraltar, 12/30/12. Happy birthday, Border Patrol, honor first.
Hello, I'm Tom Homan, Border Patrol Class 167. I want to wish happy birthday to all the American patriots wearing that green uniform. You're American patriots by every sense of the word. Keep up the good work and Godspeed.
Happy 96th birthday!